So, today's episode, I do want to talk about a lot of the issues as to why it's very difficult to find a genuine, loving partner. I think we've all talked about it, with our friends, family, of how difficult it is to truly find somebody that will take you serious and love you genuinely. I think we live in a generation right now where everybody has many options. They feel like they could just bounce from relationship to relationship, and you're just giving away yourself to many different people, and everybody's taking a piece of you. Every single time you do that, is that going to make you feel whole? It's not. And that's where we are right now in this day and age, where it's extremely difficult to date anybody, at least in the Western Hemisphere. So a lot of the issues that we do have in the West is that there is such a big issue with social media. There's many ways for people just to go look at somebody's profile and easily get distracted. This goes for people that are single, obviously, they look everywhere, but this goes as well to people that are in relationships and even married people, and it's unfortunate that this is where it's actually gotten to. So one of the issues that is obvious to everybody is that obviously social media is such a big issue right now. There's a lot of people that just go into their phone. They get distracted, especially if you get into an issue with your, significant other, your partner, your husband, your wife. It's an easy getaway for many people. It's unfortunate that whenever we're bored, whenever we're just laying on our bed, just resting or something, what's one of the things that we all do for the most part? We just look down and we just start scrolling. But for many people, this is a poison. And it gets to a point where people make bad mistakes because of this. And that's how they're leading their life moving forward. And because this happens, it creates a space between real, genuine connection and temporary validation. And many people right now, all they need is just temporary validation. Even if it's the bad attention, they would still pursue that just for them to have that feeling that they feel good because they just got attention from somebody else. So this is one of the reasons why it's extremely difficult to be able to find somebody that's genuine, because you're trying to get somebody's attention that potentially has a roster. And this is the way modern dating is happening. But this is damaging so many people, and it's only going to break families. It's only going to affect the future for potential families to even form. Now, this is something that's very serious. Our kids' future is something that I think we should really think about, because at this pace, it's already bad right now. Imagine in a few years, 5 years, 10 years, where it's going to be at. And one of the important points about all this is there's always two wrongs, the female and the male. And there's always two wrongs, with the male and the female. The male might have a lack of masculine frame, and the female might just be in her masculine. So right now, the roles are almost reversed. That's why there is a feminist movement that has been affecting the females. And on the male side, there's just a lot of men that don't know how to be masculine. So right now, everything is just so reversed, and it's just a shit show. Literally, it's just a shit show out there because of this. So what happens with males whenever they're not in their masculine frame, they become weak men. They become yes men. They become simps. They put women on pedestals more than they should. And they just give away their value so quickly to females of all sorts just because they're weak men and they don't have a frame to retain that and be some type of value as a man. And it's sad that this is such an occurrence with many men. And it's truly sad to see, because in the old ages, There was kings, there was conquerors, there was warriors. And now you see this movement of everything just being so backwards. With weak men being feminine, and then the movement of the feminists that's making women a lot more masculine. So it truly feels like a whole big circus right now. It's truly sad to see, because how do you form a unit when the roles are so reversed right now? It's truly impossible to form that unit that creates a family, that creates a happy home. That's why right now a lot of homes are very unhappy. The roles are reversed. The man is doing what females should be doing. The females are doing what males should be doing. And it's truly destroying a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships everywhere. But what do we do about this? This is why I'm speaking out on this, because it's very important to understand this, to even form the unit to be a better partner for your significant other. So when one partner does not want to do their duty as a partner, the other partner is obviously going to feel resentment. They're going to get angered. They're going to just get upset. And a lot of people just step back, and most of the time they just give up. And this becomes a consistent habit. And many people do not want to change this, because the thing is, a lot of people, they don't realize what they're doing. This is the way that they're formed through time. And I understand it could be due to traumas. I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are the way that they are in their relationships, with friendships, in their jobs, anywhere, because it might be because of a trauma. Traumas truly change the way you are as a person. But you cannot let that dictate your future and the way you are with everybody around you, because you're only going to hurt people at the end of the day. But that's not their fault. How are you helping other people? Just reflecting your traumas onto other people. Your traumas could just destroy a relationship. They'll destroy friendships. They'll destroy anything. Honestly, it's a thing that I've had to learn personally through time, that my traumas are not going to hurt other people. I had to suck it up, be a man about it, and do something to change for the betterment of myself, and that's a way to look at the way you behave and the way you're going to give that energy off as a person. You cannot let your traumas control you. The day you let your traumas control you, you will fail as a person. Go seek help. Go see a therapist. But be honest with the therapist if you do therapy. Because there's many people that they'll do the therapy, and I've heard many stories like this. They'll just manipulate the therapist just for them not to feel so guilty about who they are as a person. But are you truly going to be helpful to yourself? You're not. You're going to keep going in the same cycle, and you're never going to get anywhere. Like that saying goes, hurt people will hurt other people. And if you do not change yourself as a person, you're going to keep continuing to hurt people and the closest people to you. And that's not fair to anybody else, because your traumas are not everybody else's traumas. That's a pretty fucked up thing to do, because they don't deserve that. They truly do not. And if you're always just finding ways through the world, to validate those traumas, and by what I mean by this is you're seeking many validations, that dopamine hit in your mind, just to bandage it temporarily. But guess what? A bandage does not stay there forever. That bandage is eventually going to just fall off. And then what? You're back to that same cycle. And it's the reason why a lot of people do not change. They always stay in the same situation, and they never want to get better as a person. They're always just trying to validate themselves through other people, through the world and the ways of the world. That's just the way it is. This is what has caused a lot of issues in relationships. And that's why it's so damn difficult to find a genuine, loving person that's going to love you for who you are. It's extremely difficult. And it's one of the reasons why I feel like dating in this modern day has made it very traumatic for people. It's been traumatic. It's been depressing, very stressful. And a lot of it has to do, like what I've said, because the roles are so reversed. This is why a lot of people are just doing whatever the fuck they want. It's like they just threw the towel in and they're just going through life and hoping things change. But truly, people are not changing because they're so used to the ways of the world that they're going to keep staying in that comfort zone. And it's truly detrimental to yourself. Even worse if you have kids. If you have children and you're having this type of behavior, that's really bad. Because this is what you're going to be teaching them. Eventually, they're going to catch the drift of who you are as a person. And that's unfair. Just like I talked about it earlier. It's unfair for them to have to handle the results of your actions. And that's very hurtful to even see it in children, because this is what happens in broken homes. A lot of broken homes, these kids are learning because of their parents. They're always fighting. They're always having conflict. And that for them is normal. And it's not. It's truly unfair that they have to see that. Because I'm a firm believer, if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to be a coach, if you're going to be somebody that's going to be trying to help individuals, you have to lead by example. Because if you cannot lead by example, then what the fuck are you teaching? These are your kids that are going to be seeing what you're doing, and you're going to have the same behavior. So you expect them to do different? They're not. They're eventually going to catch what you're doing. And that could be bad behaviors, what you do on private, what you do fighting with your partner. Eventually, everything comes to the light. Nothing ever stays in darkness. And if it does, damn, you're fucking good at hiding it. But eventually, everything comes to light. There's always a point in life where something has to flick in your mind for you to change as a person. There has to be that click in your mind, or whenever the light turns on finally in your mind, to be able to change as a person. So there has to be a point where you have to change. There has to be. Because if you don't, I'm telling you, everybody around you is going to pick it up. They're not going to like you. And everything always comes to light. And whenever that does happen, you'll crumble. Because people that try to hide a lot of the stuff that they've done wrong, or they try to pretend that they're a different person, everything always comes to light. Nothing ever stays hidden. And most people that understand how to read people, they could pick that up quickly. Even just by having a few conversations with somebody, you could easily pick that up. It's one of the things that you have to think about. And are you going to be somebody that's going to be worthy of being in a relationship? That's what it comes down to. Because we all need love. We all need, that companionship. We all need somebody to be there for us. Not much need, but as humans, I think we flourish whenever we are happy with somebody that's going to be worth it, somebody that's going to give us such an energy to ourselves that we're just somebody else that has been fully loved by somebody that truly cares about us. And it's a beautiful thing. Many people do not understand this. I feel like we all have some sort of timeline when it comes down to dating. And like I talked about earlier, if the roles are reversed, it is very impossible for it to work. It truly is. I feel like the man should always be the leader and the female should always be the one that follows the leader. To be in her feminine role and submissive. But the man has to be worthy of submitting to. And I understand women right now, they see a lot of men that are not even worth a damn to be submitting to. I don't blame you. I know it's hard. But all we could do as people is understand what we need to be better for somebody else. Because if we do not understand that, we're just going to give ourselves away freely to the world. And that's just not going to benefit us at the end. It's just not. Especially for women. If they give themselves away to many people, their value is just going to keep dropping. Because men value a lot to do with the body count of a woman. That's just the way it is. Men care about a woman's body count. It has a lot to do with the emotional bond that these women create with men. And if you have a lot of partners, a woman makes it extremely difficult in the relationship to be happy. Because women attach emotionally, and men, they could just run through anybody and not have that emotional connection. These are things that are very different between men and women. And I know it's hard to hear, but these are just straight facts. You could pull it up anywhere, and these are just facts. I'm not just going to speak out of my ass because I just want to speak out of my ass. These are facts. Women attach emotionally, and men do not. Obviously, there's men that do, but for the most part, it's why men could just be with anybody, and then the next day he'll be with somebody else and have no emotional tie. But with the woman, she connects emotionally. She feels a certain way whenever she connects that way with somebody else. It's just the nature of men and women. And for those that do not believe me, prove me wrong. But if you think that I'm wrong, tell me somebody that's been with many people that is happy. And I'm talking about a woman. I'm pretty sure it's rare to almost none. That's just the reality of it. It doesn't work where a woman could just be with many men. It just doesn't. This is biology. This is just the way it is. It's unfortunate. But us as people, we have to be better. We have to be better as a man and as a woman. Because right now it's all fucked up. It truly is. And we are not getting anywhere close to recreating the traditional roles of a man and a woman. Right now it's just backwards. It's going in a way that a lot of us, I'm sure, are scared of. We're just sitting there after a few dates that we've gone on. A lot of people that have used us, and nothing ever gets anywhere. Nothing ever goes anywhere. And it's because a lot of people live with rosters. They have a whole bunch of people just waiting there just to see which one they like the most. It's like a damn candy store. This is how people are treating relationships these days. It's unfortunate. It's like you're going to a candy store and you're like, oh, let me try this candy. Let me try this chocolate. Let me try this, whatever over here. And people are just trying all sorts of things right now. But that's not going to be good for your soul. It truly isn't, because you're giving away pieces of yourself as well when you're doing that. I know I talked a lot about the women giving away their value, but yes, this does go the same way for men. It doesn't affect them emotionally. I'm a firm believer that it does to a certain extent, that it could affect you mentally to where you're with somebody for such a long time and you haven't been with many women. And there's a point in the relationship where you break up and you find somebody new. It's like the analogy about the candy store. You broke up that relationship and you go into this store again trying to go look for another candy, but you haven't had a new candy in a long time. So for you, that's going to be the best candy you've probably ever had. And most people, when that happens, they want to keep going back to the store because you're like, oh shit, this candy was fucking good. I want to go try a new one. So like people that are not experienced, it could be detrimental to them. And I'm talking about men, because whenever they try that new candy after such a long time, they're just going to go down a rabbit hole of trying to find all this candy that they never had, through their adult life. And that's going to be detrimental to them. It's biology. I'm going to keep saying that. It's just biology. It's just the way human behavior is. It's one of the freedoms that we have as people, because God gave us that will. God gave us the free will of going through this earth to make better decisions and understand that sin is around. The devil is always going to be close. But if you allow the devil to always be close to you or inside your home, you got to find a way to get that out, because the devil is everywhere. With the temptations, a lot of situations that happen through social media that could easily trigger something in your mind to make a bad decision. And this is why a lot of relationships these days fail, because whenever you have such a big fight or a big argument with your significant other, all you got to do is open up that phone, and you're easily just going to be able to get distracted, and it could potentially lead to something worse. And if you're not capable to understand this, and you're just going through life creating these habits of going to your social media or going into your phone or doing something else with friends, whenever something bad occurs, you're just going to keep putting a bandage on something that needs to be stitched. You got to go through that pain. You have to understand that it's not the end. You have to understand that something like an argument, a fight or whatever, it's not worth fighting for to lose a relationship. It's not worth losing the relationship over. If you're not capable to understand that, you're going to keep creating the same mistakes with the next person. It's going to be a same routine. It's going to be the same habit, and you're never going to be happy, because you're not going through that pain by yourself and truly understanding the emotions that are creating these habits. The day you understand what you're going through is the day you're going to change. And it takes steps. It doesn't happen overnight. I get that. You have to have the will and the courage to change for yourself. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your children. Your children are going to be watching you, and they're going to be seeing every single step of the way of what you're showing them. And if they're always seeing daddy's always upset, mommy's always upset, they're always fighting. Daddy leaves every time that my mom gets pissed at him. Mommy always comes home drunk. If this is a habit that you're forming in your home, it's a broken home, but there's always a way to get out of that. And it's by going through the pain, understanding it, not putting a bandage on it. Something that you put a bandage on, it's eventually going to come back. Bandages easily fall, right? You just put a quick little bandage, it eventually falls through time. And that's what many people do these days. They just put bandages on stuff that should be stitched up, not bandaged. And it's unfortunate because people are hurting other people because they're hiding their traumas through something that they're just patching up temporarily. And it's not fair to the next person. It truly isn't. It truly is not fair to them. Because one of the saddest things that you could do to somebody that genuinely is ready to love, somebody that's ready to genuinely care for you and protect you and nurture you and be the best version of themselves for you, and you come into this relationship with all these bandages because of your past, that is fucked up. That person does not deserve that. You're going to keep hurting people that do not deserve it. It's a fucked up situation because somebody that could truly love you, you're only going to hurt them because of your traumas. Because you chose not to change. You chose not to seek the help. You chose to just keep going through life, bandaging up your traumas and all your emotions that make you who you are And because you haven't taken the steps to truly feel the emotions, the pain, the trauma, and seek help in the right way, you're going to keep hurting people. And it's not fair to them at all. It's a fucked up thing to do. So one of the things that I think we should ask ourselves is that, are we ready to be in a relationship with somebody that is genuinely ready to give you their all? It's one of the difficult things to accept because sometimes we do come with traumas. We all go through traumas in life. But the question is, have I done the work? Have I done the work to be my best self for somebody else? If the answer is no, you're not ready for a relationship of any sort. Because you're going to keep reflecting that energy onto others. You could have friendships, yes, but sometimes friendships are almost just there to bandage it. Just like what I was talking about earlier. People go through life with a bunch of bandages and they don't stitch that motherfucker up. You cannot seek the validation elsewhere. You have to go through that internally yourself. And if you're not ready, don't go through life trying to patch up that trauma, that pain that you've gone through in life and hurt other people, because it's not fair to somebody else that has done the work, and it's not fair for them, for you to come in and burn the fucking house down. It truly is not fair. They do not deserve that, especially if we have not done the work to change as humans through all the traumas that we go through. We all go through them. Everybody does. But there's people that choose a better life because they want to live a better life. They don't want to just keep going through life and just put a bandage here, just patch it up here. Like, no, people actually want to change and be better for other people. That's why there's happy relationships these days, but it's rare. There is happy relationships, and I've seen it, but it's a very slim number compared to how many bad relationships there actually is. It's unfortunate, but it has a lot to do because of people not wanting to change themselves. They don't want to go through that pain. They don't want to go through the emotions of feeling what they've gone through. There's a lot of people that want to change for the better. And people that don't change, they're just going to keep having the same habit of hurting other people, of using other people, and just seeking the worst validation possible from the world. If you live in the way of the world, you're going to be in such a shitty situation. It's just going to give you trauma, and a lot more hurt towards your future. You're only going to lose value when you do that. You do not gain any value by going through life in the same way that you have been. You're only losing it. And the person that is actually ready for that relationship, ready to give you that love, ready to nurture you and be everything that you wanted, they're not going to want you back, because most people that have done the work will understand a person that hasn't done the work. That's why there's that saying is a high value person could easily pick up what a low value person is. Truly, people that are high value have done the work, so it's easy for them to understand who people are. It's just the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, the career you're chasing, the habits you have. It's a whole list of things that many people that are high value could easily pick up. And somebody that's high value would sniff that out. And if you haven't done the work, they're just going to eventually just be like, you know what, this person's not worth shit. And unfortunately, this is why a lot of people go through life. They try, to date different people and stuff. But most people, they don't understand what they need as well. So it's unfortunate whenever you do meet a high value person and you had an opportunity, but because you didn't change, you could just lose a chance of a lifetime with that person, because high value people are extremely rare to find. And whenever you lose a person that was high value and you lost them because you were low value, that's going to haunt you forever, I promise. So do the work so that way that does not ever happen. Even Eminem says it. He says, one shot, one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted, to capture it or let it slip. That's very powerful. I think that goes with everything in life. You know, whenever you lose such an opportunity to be with somebody of value and you lose it because you didn't do the work, that could haunt you forever. Such a huge regret in life. And it's something that we could avoid if we do the work. It's preparation for everything. You know, the way you prepare for your job, the way you prepare with anything that you do is a reflection on your action that follows. Because if you do not prepare in a good way, in a way that you're going to be able to succeed, you are going to fail and it is going to slip. You know, and it's one of the difficult things that we have to live with. And that's the regret that we didn't do the work because we were not capable or we were not worthy of being with somebody of such value. Whenever you put yourself in that mentality of understanding why this is, it makes it almost easy to see what the issue is. You know, once you find the issue, you attack it. You go through those emotions and you feel it. And if you don't feel it and you just try to bandage it, like I said, you're going to keep going through life hurting other people. And that's just not beneficial to anybody. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in on this episode today. I will be talking a lot more about what this causes through relationships, you know, here in the next episodes. So I truly appreciate everybody that's made it this far in this podcast. This is my first episode here on Luna Podcast. So might have made a little mistakes here and there, you know, but we all live and learn and we all go through the drift of things and we just learn, you know, just like everything I talked about in this podcast. We have to be better as people. We have to improve. We have to do the work. And if we do not, we're going to get the same results. Till next time, Luna out.